I think you need to have a very clear vision. You have to love what you do and you have to be an expert at it. And I think those are my top 3 tips of how I've achieved things, I suppose, is I plan, I look very, very clearly at what it is that I want to achieve. I'm an expert in my area and I absolutely love what I do. And I think that's kind of a starting point for anybody who wants to get into any kind of a career path or become an entrepreneur. You really need to have those kind of 3 things very clearly laid out for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you need to look at what is it you actually want.
This podcast is part of the GK Media Studios Creators Network, helping people tell their stories. Become a storyteller today and learn about our podcaster network at gkmediastudios.com.
Welcome to today's episode 20 of the When You Choose You podcast. We have a very special guest today, like all the time. Her name is Geraldine Jones, and Geraldine owns a business called Skin Formulas. I met Geraldine in December in local enterprise, Claire local enterprise event, and I had a surprise. Like, I didn't know much about Geraldine. I did a bit of research knowing that she's going to have a talk, but it was something very powerful and also very familiar. Like, nothing when I saw in front of me a powerful woman in business, I felt, oh my God, she's so approachable and so human, despite the fact that she was talking about figures and 6 figures and 7 figures. So thank you so much for accepting the invitation, because I know it's a busy time and all the time when you are...
My pleasure.
When you are managing and having a business that size, I think it's all the time very busy. So thank you so much for accepting the invitation, and let's dive into it. We are going to talk all about business, personal life, how do you manage both, and see how we can help people to make better choices.
Perfect. Sounds great. Thank you so much for having me, Smiranda. I'm delighted to be here. Travelled up from Tipperary this morning and got in a little catch up with friends as well. So it's been a lovely day so far. Looking forward to our chat. So thank you.
Thank you so much. So tell us a little bit, when did you start your entrepreneurial journey? Because I guess it was different than your business right now, as far as I know.
Yes, it was indeed.
Let's tell people, what did you start like?
Yes, so I am in the skincare and beauty industry 21 years this year.
Wow, I didn't realize that it's that long.
21 years, yes. So I suppose from a very young age, I knew that this is what I wanted to do. From about the age of 12, I was telling my dad and my mother at the time that I really wanted to get into beauty therapy. At the time, I kind of thought it was more like hair and makeup, and that's what I was really interested in. And I had a brochure for a beauty college that like I wanted to attend, and that was like definitely always kind of on my mindset. My mother was unwell when I turned 13 and she had cancer. And
I'm sorry.
Thank you. So she passed away when I was 15. But during that time when she was sick, something that I just really loved was massaging her feet, massaging her legs, like helping her to feel good about herself. And it just gave me this fire inside myself to like want to give that feeling to other people. And really from then I knew that that's what I wanted to do. It was like solidifying, I suppose, what I had already kind of thought I would like as a nice career into this like emotional connection with people and that feeling of looking after people.
Okay.
So I did that. I did my Leaving Cert when I was 16, went straight into beauty college, went straight into my first role within the industry and just absolutely loved it, was hooked. And then 10 years ago, I was working in Dublin. In a clinic, a very successful clinic, and came to a bit of a crossroads whereby they offered for me to buy the business. And I had to make the decision, was I going to stay in Dublin for the rest of my life? Was I going to move back to Tipperary?
How was the Tipperary girl in Dublin?
Yeah, and
did you like?
What? I was very content, definitely. But I suppose the year before that, I had met my husband, who was also from Tipperary. And I suppose thinking about long term, what was it that I wanted to do? You know, I suppose home was calling a little bit. But also from a business point of view, I could see that there were hundreds of people coming to Dublin from the countryside to have these medical aesthetic treatments. There was nobody offering anything like that in Tipperary at the time. So then it kind of made the decision a little bit easier because I could see, you know what, there's a real need, there's a market for this
Yes.
in Tipperary. Did my research, handed in my notice. 4 weeks later, I opened my first business called Mediskin, which was a skin and laser clinic in Nina in Tipperary. And as I said, there was nothing like it at the time. There was no real marketing at the time. It was me on Facebook doing videos, trying to like teach
So
people
we
and
are
educate them.
talking what year?
This was 2014.
2014.
2014, yeah.
Okay.
So it was great and I absolutely loved it and kind of thought that I'd work by myself for a couple of years in this business and it just really took off. And after 2 months, I had to hire my first employee. The business grew year on year and I suppose 2 or 3 years in, I was looking at all of the products that were on my shelf and I just wasn't able to service the needs of the customer in front of me. There were ingredients definitely missing from certain products. The products were very complex and complicated. I was getting a lot of feedback from customers that they didn't understand what the product did or how to use it when they took it home. And I suppose as a therapist, I was looking at these Irish skin types and seeing that the product on the shelves were mainly from America or global brands that just really didn't fit the needs of my customer. So I started formulating my own with a cosmetic chemist in the UK. And the idea behind Skin Formulas was born. And we launched Skin Formulas in 2019, basically directly off the needs and wants of my customer at the time.
Okay, so that was just before the pandemic.
Yes. Just before the pandemic, just before I had my first baby, all just rolled into one kind of motion. So yeah, so Skin Formulas is in business 6 years. I really feel like it's only the last kind of 3 years that the brand has been given a real opportunity to grow. I worked by myself for the first couple of years. I had outsourced support, but really it was just myself working on the business while running a clinic full time and being in the treatment room with customers. And so I made a decision last year to sell the clinic. I sold to 2 of my existing employees. So it was a beautiful full circle moment. Leanne, who was my first ever hire, and Aisling, who was with me 7 years. So it was a really nice way, I suppose, to close that chapter.
Yeah, exactly.
It was a beautiful
Very
end
nice,
to a wonderful part of my life. And yeah, so in the last couple of years, then we've really focused on growing Skin Formulas, growing the team, growing the products within the range. Again, kind of constantly listening to the needs and wants of the customer. We went from skincare into body care. So we launched Body Beautiful last year.
You just had the 6 years birthday.
Yes.
Very
in January.
Recently.
So it was great. Really
I can
fantastic.
confirm I'm starting to use your product. So I am using, you have to help me to pronounce that name because
the
I don't know.
Bakuchiol serum.
Bakuchiol,
Yes.
And the vitamin C. I was always a fan of vitamin C, but I didn't find one. I'm going to say, I think the Body Shop was the best to date before yours. Now this exists.
I'm thrilled to hear that.
Exactly. So, and I don't need to travel far or order online because I know order online it's fine, but as long as it's an Irish product, and I'm the same with foods.
Yes.
I'm very much local.
Yes.
Because I am going to say something very funny. I was delivering Healthy Food Made Easy training for mensheds.
Yes.
And a man in his 70s, I think was, very clever question. Is curry a food what we should eat in Ireland?
Oh.
Yes, that was such a surprise, and that made me to think, because I'm a big promoter of eating locally and seasonally and all of that, and was like, you know what, even the fact that someone was actually thinking
in
of
that way.
Yeah. So yeah, totally. I get the seasonal, the local, the how we are part of the environment.
Absolutely.
Where we are living, and bringing ingredients from other countries is not always something what we miss or we need.
Exactly.
Match our geography, internal geography.
Yes. And I suppose coming back to like the Irish skin needs different things.
Totally.
You know, because of our sensitivity, our impaired barriers, it depends, you know, what it is. But definitely, I suppose we are a brand that is focused on that Celtic skin tone. Obviously, it's suitable for all skin types, but I suppose the philosophy behind Skin Formulas is achieving optimum skin health. And that is
Yes.
done through nurturing the skin. So we are not big on stripping the skin or strong acids. We're all about replenishing the skin and that natural barrier function.
And I know you are very keen to education.
Yes.
And you have a full department of
Yes.
education. I'm so loving that, because for me, educating people is giving them power.
Absolutely.
So you don't only provide them with a product, you teach them how to use it and how to understand their body. Am I correct? Like
Exactly.
skin
Absolutely. And that's very important, I suppose, from my background as a therapist and working with people. I understand where that gap is sometimes for people understanding. So even on all of our packaging, we have got really nice systems in terms of how to use it. So if it's morning or night, if it's step 1, 2, or 3, telling you how many pumps to use, where in the routine it fits. It's not only on the box, it's on the product as well, because a lot of times we take products out of a box and we throw them in the bin.
Exactly.
So all of the information is there for people. And then we love doing little educational pieces as well, where we're explaining to people about ingredients, how they benefit the skin, where we source them. I actually did an Instagram live this morning on my own Instagram account, talking people through my morning routine, but just giving little additional snippets of information about what's in them and why they're beneficial to you. And a lot of what we use are ingredients like hyaluronic acid and ceramide, which is naturally found in the skin. So we're just helping to replenish that and to promote your skin to kind of produce it itself. So we're really big on that. And I think it is something that is lacking in our industry, because the feedback from customers over the year is it's so complicated. It's so complex. There's so many brands out there. How do I choose? So we are mainly professionally led. So we are in 150 stockists around Ireland. We have a beautiful stockist now in Lithuania. So we are going global, but definitely professionally led, advice from professionals on how to use these products. And they're recommended then specifically for your skin or my skin, because not everything suits everybody. And it's about getting a personalized routine.
Yeah. And how do you match the over tendency of going in more in how we look or how our skin is looking at certain moment in time, like makeup and all of that, and how the skin feels? Because I think that's where you actually feel, and when the skin is healthy.
Yes, absolutely. And that is, I suppose, something for me from a whole body approach. After I did my initial beauty therapy training, I went on to do aromatherapy, reflexology, Indian head, stress management. So my approach kind of to everything as well is a whole body approach. So even when we created the products, we looked at the textures, the consistencies, and the natural essential oils that we've added. So when someone's using the product, it's about how it makes them feel and how it makes the skin feel after using them. So we are about results. We want somebody to use our products and feel incredible from head to toe, and how that is translated through the textures and the aromas, but then also how their skin appears. And healthy skin and glowing skin. I know it's sometimes said, if you look good, you feel good. But for me, if you feel good, you look good.
Yeah.
And that's a huge part of my personal philosophy as well.
Yes, exactly. And it's nice. Like, if you didn't see Geraldine on social media, every time when I put the vitamin C serum on my skin, I see Geraldine in front. I don't exaggerate. I swear. I see you put that in your, so I pump twice in my hand and I put that on my So that's exactly how Geraldine looks in that.
Oh, you're funny.
But that's because you are the professional therapist. So in that
you're mirroring
yes,
that.
exactly.
Yes.
So if I am able to do the same, I am feeling much better.
Great.
Yeah. So let's say someone didn't use your product.
Yes.
And they want to start using them.
Yes.
How long you think that they are going to see results? So after how?
So it depends on their skin and it depends on the products that they maybe choose to start with. So as a professional skin therapist, we would normally say it does take sometimes 2 to 4 weeks to get a kind of a full cycle and to really see the benefits of something. What we have done with a lot of our products is we've added kind of duplicate active ingredients so that you see results quite quickly with our products.
Okay.
So for example, our cleansers. So we have a daily foaming cleanser, which has AHA, BHA, and it also has bakuchiol. So yes, you're getting exfoliating and you're getting deep cleansing, but you're also getting brightening, cell renewal. So you're really going to see a difference in your skin even after a couple of days. With our eye cream, we've added in panthenol and hyaluronic, which is going to give you instant hydration. But then we've added in peptides and prebiotics for long-term pro-aging.
Okay.
So you'll see immediate kind of results and benefits, but long-term, even better and better. So it really depends on the skin, but within a couple of days or a couple of weeks, you will certainly start to see a difference in your skin.
Brilliant. So let's say, again, someone is confused.
Yes.
Like myself, or is low maintenance. Let's
Yes.
put it like that, because
Yes.
I'm very low maintenance.
Yes.
What do you recommend? It's a must to have.
A must for everybody is a good day cream with an SPF. That is something that is certainly probably, like, as a professional, that would be something that I would always recommend.
And SPF translated is a protection factor.
Exactly, sun protection factor.
Yeah.
So with our day cream, it's a day moisturizer, but it also has a factor 50 UVB,
Wow.
a
I didn't know
PA
that.
of +4, so your highest UVA protection. And then we've added blueberry seed oil, which is your blue light protection. So your screens, your devices, fluorescent lighting. And we've gotten that from blueberry seed oil, which is actually a byproduct of the juicing industry. So sustainably, we're reusing that product that would have been wasted, and that gives us that blue light protection. So it's an all-rounder, and it's something that everyone should wear 365 days a year. So that would be the first product I would always recommend. And then to really, I suppose, see changes or difference, good cleanser, and then an active serum depending on what your concerns are.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then you extended the range towards the body.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about that.
Yes. So again, I suppose going back to my holistic background, I'm somebody who really believes in the power of touch, essential oils, self-care, taking time for yourself. And I definitely, after having my second child, lost my self-care. We were in the middle of a pandemic at the time, but I certainly just wasn't taking that time for myself, and I wasn't feeling good. And I decided with small steps. I told my husband, I'm going for a shower and I'm going to take 20 minutes. I will be gone for 20 minutes. And I was buying products and I just wasn't getting that feeling of spa at home or, rejuvenated. So again, I just started working on my own and formulating my own with our chemist. It took 3 years to get the 6 products right.
Okay.
To a stage where I felt they really delivered that spa at home experience. But what we also wanted to do for people was to redefine their daily rituals. So you're not just having a shower, you're stepping in, you're letting that water hit your skin, you're taking a deep breath, you're using the shower oil with intent, you're doing your body scrub to really feel revigorated and revived. And then you step out and you're massaging that body oil or that body balm into your skin, and you're taking that time for yourself.
So it's mindfulness.
It's mindfulness,
in a
100%. Absolutely. Taking that time, redefining what would be a simple shower and applying your moisturizer into really time for yourself. And we've used sweet orange and neroli as our aroma. So you can use it at nighttime to unwind, but equally in the morning, it's beautifully refreshing. It's not overstimulating if you do. So some people shower at night or in the morning. I personally love to apply my oils and my balms going to bed, because I love to have that kind of down-regulating piece just before bedtime. Then in the morning, I will use my body scrub or my shower oil and kind of have that more kind of invigorated kind of moment. But I definitely feel that our Body Beautiful campaign was, a huge success. It was a lovely addition to our current offering for our clients. We're now looking after them from head to toe. And it's something that I know it's
very
really
important.
Exactly.
Yes. I know that's you. I don't know you for long, but I know that's you all together.
Yeah, absolutely.
Brilliant. Well done for such a beautiful, beautiful concept and achieving that. So
Thank
now
you so
tell
much.
me, how was to achieve that? Because it sounds so easy.
Oh, it's been a long road, definitely. I absolutely love what I do. And I think
you can say that.
That genuinely
100%.
makes it easy. There are challenging days, absolutely. And I'm very, very lucky. I have an extremely supportive husband. He's also self-employed, but we managed to make it work.
I think it's always easier when they are from the...
He understands.
Yes, exactly.
Absolutely, he understands.
I can say that from the experience.
Yeah,
so yeah.
Yeah, he does. And we have a 5-year-old and a 4-year-old. So we have two daughters and an incredible childminder who literally treats them like her own kids. And then my sister, my dad, friends, I have a huge support network. And in the last number of years, as I mentioned, I've built the team, and I've really brought in people who I really believe care about the business as much as me. And I can see that in them, and I can feel that from them. And I know by everything that they give to the brand, to the business, to me, that they really care. And I think that has been, such a huge factor in how much the brand has grown in the last number of years. Like we started with 12 retail products and 3 professional products. So we have clinics and salons that perform professional lactic acid peels, and the offering has grown based off what the customer has needed, what our professional stockists are telling us they need for their customers as well. And everything has kind of grown organically, I suppose, to a degree. But now that we have
fast enough,
but very fast, organically, but fast. And that's what I'm saying. With the team now in the last 2 years, it's catapulted. So we are really now in a very fast growth phase, which is very exciting, but definitely has challenges.
Yeah, I can imagine.
So it's a lot, but I suppose it's trying to get processes in place now as well, personally and professionally. I know we had spoken about, I suppose from my point of view, I've done a lot of work on myself in the last number of years. I'm somebody who I've always had a very good work ethic. And I think that I got that from my parents. I grew up on a dairy farm. I've always seen hard work, and I know what hard work is. And in every position I've been in, over the years, I've always given 110% to whoever I've worked for.
Nice.
And in my own business, I suppose that is kind of how I've always been. I give 110% every day. When I was in the treatment room with clients, I gave them my soul. I left my soul in the room every time. And that's just the kind of person I am. But I suppose over the years, there's been challenges, even for me personally. And I mentioned that when I was in school, I spoke to you about this at my event. I really struggled with certain subjects. And I used to get very frustrated about that, because I knew I was very good at English, Irish, French, geography, subjects, language was very easy for me. But things like maths, history, chemistry, things like that, I really struggled with. And I couldn't understand it. And it used to really frustrate me.
Funny.
And it was only in later years, couple of years, that I realised I have ADHD and have been officially diagnosed with ADHD. And even just finding that out, going through that process and understanding that about myself has been a massive, massive benefit to me in terms of now how I run the business.
Okay.
Because I would have done a lot of things simultaneously, and I always knew I thought about things differently, or I did things differently. And over the years, people would always say to me, how do you do it? How do you do it? How do you do it? And for me, it was just like, well, this part does this part does this part does this. And I never realized that that's not the same for everybody.
Okay.
So I never knew that the way I think or how I process things or how I do things was different to other people. And it's only as I've been working on myself in the last number of years that I've come to that realization.
What strikes me is how empowered you are talking about being diagnosed with ADHD, like a confirmation of something what your inner self knew about. Something is different about me, but you couldn't really put the finger on it.
Absolutely.
And instead of, oh my God, I have ADHD, that's me, done.
Yeah.
You actually, which can be the case.
Yeah,
and we don't judge.
Yeah,
absolutely. And we feel compassion. I'm very much compassionate about people with neurodivergent, And I think this neurodivergency, it's so present now because our brains are exposed to so much information, and there is no way that we can deal. I think I always am looking ancestrally, background. I don't think our brain was ever developed or designed to deal with so much
as we are now. Absolutely, I agree. I agree.
I think this phase with neuro is just an evolutionary phase towards something else, where we are going. Not a future teller, but definitely
no, I
something
agree. I agree. And I do think, part of my ADHD assessment was they were asking me about my childhood and about school and asking me, did you struggle with certain things, or were you stronger in certain things? And I suppose I always knew where I was stronger or weaker. But then reading back over report cards was something that, as part of my assessment, they had us do. And a lot of it was, lovely student, beautiful student, great student, but, needs to concentrate more, needs to focus more, needs to pay more attention. And things that I wouldn't have thought at the time. I was somebody who would have been easily distracted. But looking back now, I'm like, oh, that makes a lot of sense. And so I've been diagnosed with ADHD combined. So I am both inattentive and hyperfocused. So you can be either or combined. And so I'm combined, which means when I absolutely love something, I am so hyperfocused, like 3 hours feels like 30 seconds. And my inattentiveness is over smaller things like verbal conversations, or I could meet somebody and instantly forget their name, or I leave the house probably sometimes 2 and 3 times without forgetting phone, keys, wallet, small little things like that. But for me, I suppose getting the diagnosis has been huge, because now little things that I really used to beat myself up about, I now understand that's part of my ADHD.
Yes. So you became more
compassionate
towards
Yeah,
yourself.
I think so.
Exactly.
An understanding of things that I was struggling with. And I suppose when you're at a CEO level in a company and you're leading people, I've always been somebody who's not been afraid to ask for help. I definitely know where my skills are and my strengths are, and where they weren't, I either outsourced or I hired in help for that. And I've never been someone who would be afraid to say to one of my team, I don't understand that, can you explain it? Like, I've always been fine with that. But I suppose there would have been certain things like placing our purchase orders and keeping track of orders and being able to manage different systems. And, I'd really beat myself up about, why can't I just remember what that was? Or, I'd really have to rely on looking back over things or checking things. And I'd completely forget sometimes placing orders or different things. And really, really over the years now, really beating myself up over that kind of stuff. But now understanding that is a 100% part of my ADHD brain, it's been so much easier. And even to be able to be kind of more open about things like that when I'm discussing it with people, or if I'm in a meeting and I know it's going to be 3 or 4 hours, to be able to say, do you know what, sorry, I actually need to take a break for a moment. I need to just stand up and walk around, or I need to walk out to the bathroom, or can you repeat that, because I'm not actually able to process what it is that you're saying to me in real time. I mentioned before we started, my auditory processing is something that I've struggled with a lot. So if I was sitting watching a lecture or at a conference or a talk, if somebody's talking constantly for a long time, I find it really hard to take in that information. Whereas if it's written somewhere as well, or if there's subtitles, I can really take it in a lot easier.
Okay.
Because in certain conversations, I'm a very quick communicator. And you could speak and I'd nearly finish your sentence in my head. But in other conversations, if it's something that I'm not necessarily not interested in, but if it's outside of my comfort levels, I really struggle to take in that information. And I'm doing a postgrad at the moment with Queen's University.
That was my next question. Yeah, exactly.
So that has been challenging. Challenging is how I would describe it. I'm loving it, but there's certain elements of it that definitely are so far outside of my comfort zone. We just had a module on data-driven analytics and data-driven decision-making, which was mathematical equations and really comprehensive in-depth data analysis. And it was a struggle. Now I got there because I openly asked the lecturer to bring it back into real life. We brought everything back to like products or marketing or things that are in my everyday world that I could then kind of get behind the equations and understand why each was related to each formula. But it's definitely, maybe 5 years ago, I wouldn't have had the confidence to ask that, or to understand that I needed to ask it because of how my brain works. So that has been a huge benefit to me now in my college life as well.
What is the secret behind your confidence? Because you come across as very confident. I don't know exactly what's going on inside, but you come across as a very confident.
It's interesting that you say that, because in my work life, I would say I'm extremely confident. And I think it's a mixture of absolutely loving what I do, knowing what I do inside out. I eat, sleep and breathe it. So I'm quite confident in this world. From a social perspective, I'm not great. I've had anxiety all my life. It's been probably very challenging the last couple of years, where it's kind of reached new heights in terms of my anxiety levels. I think it was a combination of my extensive workload, pressure of running 2 companies, small kids, I'm exhausted. So finding energy to go to social events and things would always have been very challenging for me. But as I mentioned, I've been doing a lot of work on myself personally. I've been seeing a coach. I've been seeing a psychiatrist for many years. But definitely at certain periods, medication has helped with anxiety. And it's understanding if and when I need that extra support that I reach out for it and I lean into it. Because, I mean, I would have had social anxiety going in to visit my best friend's parents who I grew up with all my life, like small little triggers that really you'd imagine would not be an issue for anybody. And yet I could go and speak at a conference of 200 people and walk up on stage and have absolutely no fear or anxiety. So it's more kind of finding a balance. My psychologist that is working with me on the ADHD explained it like an actor, a method actor. When I come into work or when I'm in a professional setting, I can turn on professional Geraldine and I can be absolutely to a point flawless in my professional role. And then I leave and I walk out and I sit in my car and I go,
you relax.
I can relax. And my personal Geraldine can come back into play. And I suppose that's not a fakeness. It is me in my professional role. But sometimes out of my comfort zone.
You are authentic in both ways, but you act differently.
I think so. Yeah, I think that's probably the easiest way of explaining it. Yeah.
Okay, so 2 questions popped up for me there. One is, how do you fill your cup? Because you seem like you give a lot to all of us.
Yes.
A big piece of you to everyone. And how do you replenish that?
So my kids, definitely. My kids and my husband. I am probably at my happiest when I'm at home in my pajamas, cuddling my kids and doing arts and crafts and silly little things with them at home. Like that definitely is what fills my cup, 100%. I love people. And when I'm really drained, I find it hard to be around people because with the ADHD, I feel kind of overstimulated. And if I've had a really busy day, sometimes I really need to be alone. So definitely time by myself also fills my cup. And I definitely, when I need it, my husband is so supportive. He understands and he nearly knows by me now. He'll say, you go to bed early, I'll put the kids to bed. And I go down and I have a little kind of a nighttime down regulating routine that I do for myself where I'll burn some incense, I will do some breath work, I'll do a guided meditation, and I literally just calm my body. And I need to do that.
Are you doing that on a regular basis or when you feel...
Every night I do it.
Oh, so it's a routine.
It's a routine, but there are certain times where I need more of it.
Yes, okay. And the second question was, it seems very easy that you achieved so much in your business, but I'm sure that funding and all of that wasn't, unless you had a big sponsor behind you.
I didn't.
And I know the story. It wasn't the case.
No.
So, someone who is a beautician in the end listen to this and say, I want that.
Yes.
How did you get there?
So I suppose I had a vision. I had a very clear vision. And I am somebody who really believes in vision boards. I am a very visual person. So I draw my vision board every year. And if there is something that I know I want to achieve short term, long term, whatever it is, I will visualize that. And it's not that I'm sitting and actively visualizing every day, but I sit down and I look very clearly at what is the plan. So I definitely start everything that I do with a clear vision. And going into each year, if we have a plan, I have a clear vision. And I think that is something that when I work with people, because I do business consultancy with a lot of salon owners.
Oh, do you?
I
didn't
do.
know that. Okay.
I do. So,
oh my God, Geraldine, you're doing so much.
And I love that. And I did say that when the brand really took off, that I'd probably pull back from that a little bit from a time point of view, but I really love it. And I do love to give back. So it's something that I really, really enjoy. But I think you need to have a very clear vision. You have to love what you do and you have to be an expert at it. And I think those are my top 3 tips of how I've achieved things, I suppose, is I plan, I look very, very clearly at what it is that I want to achieve. I'm an expert in my area and I absolutely love what I do. And I think that's kind of a starting point for anybody who wants to get into any kind of a career path or become an entrepreneur. You really need to have those kind of 3 things very clearly laid out for yourself. Because sometimes I'm working with salon owners and, you know, they're saying to me, oh, I feel like I need to do this, or I feel like I need to do that, or I should be doing this. But, you know, you need to look at what is it you actually want.
Yes.
Is it a business that supports your lifestyle, or is it a scalable, fast-paced, growing business where you're hiring people and you're expanding and growing? And I suppose that's kind of a starting point for people as well, is what is it that you want from this? And, you know, what's the long-term goal?
And I think it's the hardest question. Like, I am talking from experience. It was, I used to be annoyed when people are asking me, where do you want to go? And I was like, oh my God, like, really? Let me tell you where I want to go tomorrow or today. Just don't ask me. But the more I get clear, the clearer I got, the easier it got.
And I think for me, I suppose I've always been so clear on vision that I find that difficult when people aren't. And that's just the way my brain works. I remember, you know, I said when I was doing my leaving cert, I was going into beauty. I get my first job. She asked me, where do you see yourself in 10 years? And I said, owning my own clinic. To the month, I opened Mediskin 10 years later. And I also had a vision when I started Mediskin that I would like to sell in 10 years. And at the end of 2023, I did my vision board for 24. I drew a picture of Mediskin with a big sold across the front of it. And that was kind of like my goal and my plan for that year. So I suppose I've always definitely been very vision focused.
Yes.
Yeah.
Was there any situation when you put something on the vision board and didn't go how you saw it?
Oh, absolutely. And it changes. It absolutely changes. So there's been things that I've put on a vision board maybe 1 year, knowing that maybe it's you know, not going to happen for maybe 2 or 3 years. And then that plan completely changes.
Okay.
And that's fine. Then there's been other things that we've planned to go for that hasn't happened.
Okay.
But I also believe that that's okay.
Of
Because
course.
I definitely am somebody who believes if it's for you, it won't pass you. So maybe if it's not right now, it might be in the future. Or maybe if it keeps meeting a block, it's not meant to be. And I feel like that about people who've come into my life and left, but also in relation to opportunities or things within the business that if we try something and it fails, you know, if we really believe in it, we try again. If it still fails, it's maybe not for us.
Did you have that experience with products? Did you start product or was you only started when you were sure?
We've started lots. We have a lot of products still in formulation. There has been 2 products specifically that we've started. We've got into testing and then we've realized actually it's not the right time to launch. Or do we have another product which is quite similar, which will give this result or achieve it if they use it with X, Y, or Z, and we're not in the business of producing product for the sake of it. So we did have a cleanser that was due to launch this year, which actually I pulled back because I said, you know, well, we've something very similar. We're also doing something else that's different but similar. So when you look at everything together, is there a need for it? No, there's not. So we pull back. And we'd spent 2 years formulating it. So that does happen. Yeah.
But you are learning from...
We're learning.
It's not...
Absolutely.
Yeah, I don't think failure is anything... I actually used to say I love failure, but it's not failure. I feel trials and learnings.
Learnings, absolutely. And I have learned a lot over the years. And I love that. And I would never, you know, thankfully, I haven't been in a position where something has happened where I haven't learned something. You know, if I look back on kind of some little kind of bumps in the road, I've definitely learned something from each of those. And
I think this is the secret. If you are able to pick the learning, I think you don't repeat the experience.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So. Okay, so how is to be mommy and business? Doing the big business.
I love it because I think I'm definitely not what I would call, I suppose, somebody who loves being at home and loves, you know, I wouldn't be able to be at home full time, if I put it that way. Like, I like that I'm able to be with my kids, and when I'm with them, I give them all of my time and my attention, and I give them everything of me. But I love going to work. I love having that time for myself, for the business. You know, I really love that. And then I love coming home in the evenings. I have great support, as I mentioned, which makes it a lot easier. But I love that my kids know that I work hard. And like, that work ethic was installed in me by my parents. And I love that my kids see that with me and my husband. And like, my 5-year-old is at home making her own skin formulas. She makes it with mouthwash and toothpaste and hand wash and whatever it might be. But like, she came to me recently with a piece of paper and she drew Superwash, which was a new cleanser that we were going to do. And she had what she called the sample. So she had a little chewing gum container that she'd filled with superwash. And she had the
Wow.
whole plan. She had Emma, who was our director of sales. Emma's going to sell it. Tim, who is my business coach, Tim is going to help us with the numbers. She had the whole plan. She was basically pitching this product to me.
Yeah.
And I just love that. I really love that. I love that they see.
And she's, how old is she?
5.
5.
And
Oh my God.
she definitely, I do think she will be ADHD. I can see it in her. But for me, I suppose now that I've had my diagnosis as well, I'm hopefully going to be able to support her better if that's the case. But what I mean by that is she comes to me and she'll say, oh, I have an idea. And then she will be going to bed at night. She'll be like, I have so many ideas. I've just all these ideas. And like, she gets me to write down her ideas so that we can talk